It's been over 3 decades since Penn State faced West Virginia. Still a head-scratcher to think of the Mountaineers in the Big 12, but I know these two guys remember this rivalry very well. Can't help but think of the Lambert Trophy when you think of Nittany Lions versus WVU. These players are a little young to remember how fierce this game used to be, guys.
It used to be, but Penn State won the vast majority of them, so a lot of good memories. But let's talk specifically about now, here and now. West Virginia last year, offensively, put points on the board, not a lot of production in terms of that of yardage, -8 in a turnover margin. And then let's talk about the guys coming back. When you look at this game Saturday night, you want to start with the offensive line. The vast majority of the starts coming back, not the overwhelming majority, are up front. And that's where we're going to start, Tom, right off the bat with the offensive line.
Though. You know, to me, the guy you want to watch up front is I pay really good attention to the center. He is an All-American in my book. The left tackle is a heck of a football player. And one of the things that, when the transfer that came in from LSU, the 6'7" tight end, I'm sure he's not there to catch a lot of passes. I think he's there to run the ball.
So let's take a look at the surge you get up front, and with the quarterback as a run threat, they have to respect that. And watch what happens on this one. The offensive line comes up the field, they push up there, and now, Tom, there's your secondary guy who has to respect the quarterback, and he's a little bit out of position, and there goes the running back.
Yeah, and that's the thing they have to be very careful this week. He's only 5'11". You want to keep this guy in the pocket, and I think, as we said, lanes just aren't for cars this week.
Yep, and let's talk about that as we look at this quarterback. Just talked about the threat he creates. Now they go to an empty set, which normally you're thinking pass, but with his ability, and you see these guys get up to the second level. Tom, talk about how important that is.
It's going to be very important to contain him because that's the one thing he wants to do. He's not tall. You want to keep him inside that pocket. Make him beat you throwing the ball because their wide receiver situation right now is not the best on this team.
Yeah, I think that when you get into third downs, that's going to be important. So let's talk about him as a scrambler. Tom talked about the lanes, talk about the mobility, scramble, adjust when guys come out. When he gets out of the pocket, you got to stay with your receivers and watch what happens here, Tom. You talk about this.
Well, you know, that's the thing that happens a lot of times what people do. When he starts running, they start to come up right away. Then he doesn't cross the line of scrimmage and gets it downfield and he gets himself a nice play. He creates a lot of plays.
And that's one of the things about it. You know, that's how you get some big plays sometimes with those mobile quarterbacks. Now let's talk about defensively, scheme-wise, Tom. 3 down guys, a lot of multiple sets. This is, you know, I know when we played against this multiple set, we were able to run the ball, and you look, they had trouble stopping the run last year, did not do very well defensively, gave up a lot of points, and again, had trouble creating turnovers.
This is the thing I see with them, Jay, is right what you said. Right here, this is not the strength of their team. The strength of this defense is going to be the multiple looks that they can give you, okay? And that's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to take some chances and move a bunch of these guys. This 3-5 or 3-4, whatever you want to call it, there's so many different things you can do with it.
Yeah, so as you look at this, teams were able to really gash them defensively and run the football against them. And I think that's going to be something with Penn State's veteran offensive line. This is going to be a matchup that is a real advantage, should be a real advantage for Penn State. So let's talk about some of the other things they do. They can drop 8 a lot. And with a young quarterback, the one thing you don't want to see is a lot of multiple coverage, a lot of dropping 8, and that creates a read problem for you, Tom.
Yeah, it sure does, especially as you know, being a quarterback coach, you know, who are you going to ID? You know, because of the multiple people moving around and doing different things. And when you can drop 8, it creates a lot of looks that you're just not used to seeing.
Yeah, you just got to be careful. This is the one thing Penn State can't do is turn the ball over and encourage them. So last thing we'll talk about, if Penn State is running the ball, they're going to come up, and now they're vulnerable because safety's one-on-one, no pass help. And Tom, as you know, I always tell quarterbacks, if safeties could cover, they'd be playing corner. Yes. So if Penn State can get those matchups, I think we're in good shape. Penn State will be good. Play action pass should be good.
It should be terrific, especially with the great Penn State running game.
Yeah, and if you can do those, you know, you can keep throwing the ball on first and second downs with a young quarterback, it gives you better coverage advantages. So I'd look for that on Saturday. And as we always do, we look to our captain, Todd Sadowski.
The takeaway, lanes aren't just for cars. this game.
Yes.
That's what I got from the takeaway. Well done, guys. All right, anytime you can invite a non-conference traditional rival to play in Happy Valley, it's a win for the fans. It's not exactly cheap. That's the point. Fans are willing to pony up for an excellent matchup. Take a look at the going price for a seat in row EE. It's a 50-yard line seat at Beaver Stadium, right in the middle of the helmet stripe for this season opener. Iowa and the whiteout at the top of the list. The Michigan game expected to be a huge matchup in November, of course. Then it's the Mountaineers with UMass in there at a little over $200. A couple of Big Ten division opponents under 200. Indiana Rutgers with the Delaware game the least expensive. Proof that if you schedule it, they will pay. Nittany Lions ready to roar under the lights to start off 2023. It is time for our Impact interview. This guy knows NFL talent when he sees it. We asked Steelers GM Omar Khan about the Nittany Lions players on his current roster and why his college experience was integral to his career path in the front office. Nittany Game Week returns after this.